Mr. S, I understand that you've just come over from the medical clinic.
Well, the doctors in the medicine clinic are inept, just totally inept. You would think that they would know that amoxicillin would be going to have the same response as penicillin, and that if you're allergic to one, you'd be allergic to the other. But do they know that? No. So they prescribe amoxicillin for me without telling me it's the same thing as penicillin. And I'm breaking a rash all over. So yeah, they are inept over there. They're not going to get away with that.
I see. What were you taking the amoxicillin?
My wrist got infected.
How did that happen?
The other night, pissed at the fraternity. And it was stupid.
I'm not sure I understand.
I met these guys. When I first met these guys at the fraternity, they seemed really nice at first, and they turned out to be jerks. So the other night at the party, we were all drinking, and I broke their window, and I cut my wrist. So I came to the hospital, and I got it stitched up. Yeah, the surgeons, they stitched it up, but I don't think they spent enough time making sure everything was clean here, and I don't know, it got infected. I haven't talked to any lawyers yet, but there is definitely going to be a lawsuit.
So, you live at a fraternity?
I'm an honorary member.
What do you mean an honorary?
Well, I met these guys at a bar, and we were, at Travis's bar in Middletown somewhere. I don't never find that place. Lost my license for parking on the sidewalk there anyway. So anyway, I'm just in there having some drinks, and these guys, well, they seemed like they were my best friends, and they seemed glad to have me to come over to the fraternity and everything, and they like made me an honorary member. And they introduced me to everyone and everything, and I moved in there, and they just left.
So you broke a window and cut your wrist?
You would think that this fraternity would have been really exciting, but there's nothing in there to do. Nothing. I would just sit in there with nothing to do. And the TV doesn't even work. And they're all off doing their little things and going to their little classes and studying their little books, going off their little girlfriends and everything. And yeah, it was empty in there all day. And there's just nothing to do there. And then they would just come in for lunch, and the meals are terrible. They just come in for lunch and leave. There's just nothing to do there. And then you try to talk people into doing stuff, and they're all so busy doing things, they have something to do, and it was boring as can be.
So, were you feeling bored when you cut your wrist?
Yes, it was boring. I may as well have been in San Francisco shoplifting or in the bathrooms. I mean, it seemed like a good idea at first, and then it wasn't. Here I am, a guy in my late 30s, living with fraternity kids. They're self-centered. It didn't work out. I like more sophisticated things. I like intelligent conversation. That's why I'm going to move in with this lady, Mrs. Murray. She's traveled the world. She's used to finer things, and she can carry on an intelligent conversation. And she's a wonderful person. She cares. The sooner I move in there, the better.
So, how do you know this Mrs. Murray?
I met her at a bus stop. I was on the way to see my VR counselor, Mr. Hannah. Mrs. Murray and I, we rode the same bus together and got off the same bus stop too. And she and I were she was just, talking. And she is just, well, she is just an incredible person. I've never met anyone who's done as many things as she has.
And now you're planning on living with her? Is that what you just said?
Well, I just can't live alone. The fraternity left me. I think those guys were just fags anyway. Mrs. Murray, she has a grand Steinway piano. And I told her how much I was interested in learning to play the piano. And she said, well, you have to learn to play on a Steinway. And said I was welcome to come over, and she has a big house, and she has several spare rooms. Just the piano's collecting dust. So, be better than living in that fraternity. That place was just noisy and boring.
Mr. Rice, how many times have you talked to Mrs. Murray?
Once, but I could tell she meant it.
You mentioned a VR counselor.
Yeah, Mr. Hamm. He's my VR counselor. He is no help. I can do that job twice as good as he does.
What kind of jobs have you done?
That's a short order cook.
And what did you do there?
I flipped hamburgers.
How did you like that job? How long were you there?
A couple of days. The job would have been okay, but it was, a stretch like that and a flex like that. I have scar tissue on my chest, and it causes too much pain. I just couldn't do that.
You have a lot of scar tissue on your chest?
Well, when I was 17, 18, I got a really bad burn on my chest. And God, I was in the hospital for almost a year. So I have scar tissue from that. That's why I wear a turtleneck, so people won't see it. They don't like to look at it.
How did you get burned?
I poured gasoline and lighted it.
And then you were in the hospital for a whole year?
Oh, that's nothing. God, I was in the hospital for almost the first 3 years of my life.
What was happening the first 3 years of your life?
It's boring to go over this, but I was in the hospital for a congenital heart condition. I had complications, required surgery. I had complications from that, and spent the first 3 years of my life away from my family. I lived 100 miles away from the hospital, and I kept having complications, and so I'm used to being in the hospital.
It does sound like you've been through a lot of pain. Now you said you cut your wrist and you burned yourself? Have there been other times, other ways you tried to kill yourself?
Well, yes, there are times when nothing works out, and nothing works out, and what else can you do?
So you have tried to kill yourself numerous times?
Yes,
you seen a psychiatrist before today?
When I was a little older, I saw school counselors. The kids didn't like me because they just didn't like me. I didn't see a psychiatrist until after the burn.
That was the first time you saw a psychiatrist?
Oh, I've seen psychiatrists in every city I've been in. You know, there's some real asshole psychiatrists out there. Pay them money, and they just let you talk and talk, and they do nothing. Nothing changes.
Are you seeing a psychiatrist now?
No. But that's why I moved here. Because I heard that this place was this was a good place for so many psychiatrists per person, and if I was going to find a good one, this would be the place to come.
I see. And if you find a good psychiatrist here, what is it you're hoping for?
Someone who knows what he's doing.